You know, it does seem like just yesterday when Nas and Hit Boy actually came together and started dropping music. I remember it was a little different. You know, I don't think anybody was expecting that link up, but if you remember, one of Nas's biggest criticisms throughout the majority of his career was having poor beat selection. So now it's safe to say that, well, he was self-aware of that and decided to finally beat those allegations. Although I don't think he always had bad beats. There were just a lot of times where it would be harder to get into his music from just a vibe perspective because it was so much more about what was being said and not necessarily with the intent to get your head nodding. But either way it goes, we've now reached the end of this era, the Nas and Hit Boy era, after 3 years and 6 albums, which contained 2 trilogies, and even got him a Grammy. You know, he became the oldest rapper to win the Grammy for Rap Album of the Year back with King's Disease 1. And yeah, I mean, I think that after realizing that he's now 50 years old and everybody's talking about, okay, who do we want to see Nas link up with next? It's actually kind of wild to even think that someone who people were kind of writing off, like around the time when the Lost tapes came out and everything like that, it was like, oh, this nigga's done. You know, no one really seemed to have much interest in Nas, but now I think he reached that point where at the end of it all, you know, he realized that it's just, he likes to rap. He's passionate about rap. And that's what you got out of these projects. Like it was just rap through and through. It wasn't any gimmicks. It wasn't no, Slave Revolt interludes and anything like that. It was just straight up him flexing his bars and doing it at a way that was it was good enough to reach out to people who want more than just Illmatic. And I know a lot of the old heads have criticized him over this span because, you know, Hit Boy ain't really on no boom bap shit, and people want him to make Illmatic again and again and again and again. And that's just, you can't really expect an artist who is growing, who is always evolving, who is learning to constantly produce the same album that they made, you know, back in the day. What you experience at 20 is definitely not what you experience at 45, I imagine. So, yeah, I kind of just wish that people would let that notion go. And another thing is that, you know, in our genre specifically, we love to age people out of the game. You know, if you're in your late 30s, if you're 40, if you're 50, you know, there's always a lot of criticism when there's talks about you dropping new music. But, you know, this isn't sports. This isn't anything athletic per se. This isn't you trying to dunk a basketball at 50. These guys, it's like, if you can rap, you can rap, you know, and I think that this is going to set a new precedent for people who don't necessarily know if they want to, if they're comfortable with dropping music, but they still might want to rap. I mean, because when you consider it, J. Cole is 38. Benny the Butcher is 38. Freddie Gibbs is 41. You know, these guys are getting older, but you probably can't imagine that they're going to lose the ability to rap at a high level anytime soon. So I think what Nas is doing here is letting people know, like, not only is he still at, you know, or capable of entering a second prime at this stage in his life, but you don't have to put a time limit on your career. I mean, he's been through a very turbulent timeline, from people in the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever saying that he was a sellout because he wasn't producing stuff like Illmatic anymore. And then throughout the 2010s, people were a little just indifferent about the idea of new Nas music. It was a little bit too boring. It was a little bit too slow. There was so much politics around just the music, when at the end of the day, if you want to put out music, just put out the music you want to make. And that's what he has been doing. So I think that's commendable. And, you know, big shout out to him. Whether you fucked with this music or not, I think it just, I think that what this does is create a new standard for rappers nowadays, you know, guys who are getting older. And even though you've got people like 21 Savage, even though I don't think he meant it the way that it sounded, but I believe it was a year ago when he said Nas isn't relevant, I think he meant in the sense of, like, you know, people that are checking for a lot of, I mean, rap has always been considered a young man's game. So I think he meant it in the sense of like, niggas not really waiting on the primary consumers of hip hop right now. Young folks aren't really waiting on new Nas to drop. It's more so for the guys who have kind of been around. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily going to be easy to get, you know, a 14-year-old into Nas as opposed to whatever new trending TikTok ass rapper is out right now. You know, I think he meant it in that sense, but be that as it may, he went from publicly being called not relevant to still just keeping it rolling and doing what he does without all the gimmicks. So I definitely think that's to be appreciated and that's to be respected, because we don't know if we're gonna see that again from anybody else. I hope we do. You know, I hope rappers keep going as long as they still got gas in the tank, and clearly he still has a lot to say. Arguably King's Disease 2 could be in the top 3 of his discography. I'd honestly say that Magic 3 could be in the top 5. I mean, I think it's a good body of work. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say here. Really quick video. I got another one dropping in a minute. So let me know what y'all think. If y'all like this 6-album run, and who would you like to see Nas work with next? What producer would you want to see him collab with moving forward? Yeah, leave your comments below. I'm out.